Welcome to The Explainer. You ever feel like you're putting in a ton of effort, just working incredibly hard, but the results, they just don't seem to match up? Well, the problem might not be your effort at all. It might be your strategy. Today, we're digging into leverage, that hidden force that can multiply your impact and separates just doing good work from doing truly game-changing work.
And this quote from Richard Rumelt, it just gets right to the heart of it. A great strategy isn't about simple addition, putting in more hours to get a little more out. It's about multiplication. It's about finding that one precise action that creates this massive disproportionate ripple effect.
Right, that's the classic question, isn't it? The whole David versus Goliath thing. When you're the smaller player, when you're outgunned and outmatched, brute force is just not an option. You can't just work harder than Goliath. You have to find that one weak spot, that one point where your limited strength can have an absolutely overwhelming effect.
And that, right there, that is the essence of leverage. It's all about finding the perfect place to put the fulcrum. It's that single point where a small, smart push can move something enormous. You see, the power isn't really in how hard you push. It's all about where you push.
All right, so let's dig into our first tool for finding that leverage. It's called anticipation. And no, this isn't about gazing into some crystal ball or predicting the future. It's about seeing the wave of change that's already forming out on the horizon, long before anyone else even feels the spray.
Take Pierre Wack at Shell back in the 70s. He didn't just guess that the oil crisis was coming. He saw it by understanding trends and forces that were already in motion. He famously described it as seeing a storm in the Himalayas and knowing with absolute certainty that the Ganges River plains would flood days later. He just connected the dots that everyone else was completely ignoring.
This is such a perfect example. On one side, you've got the U.S. auto industry using brute force, just chasing the hot trend, right? More SUVs. But then you have Toyota, and they're using leveraged anticipation. They made a bet on a future that was, as they say, already in the mail. This inevitable pressure for better fuel economy, and they positioned themselves to completely own that future when it arrived.
So, if anticipation is about seeing the future, our second tool, focus, is all about acting on it. And look, focus isn't just about, working on one thing. It's about zeroing in on the single right thing, that one critical point where your effort actually gets multiplied. And the key to that kind of focus is finding what's called a pivot point. Think of it as your strategic sweet spot. It's that one bottleneck or that one opportunity where just a little push can create this huge cascade of positive effects. It is, quite literally, the fulcrum for your lever. Just look at 7-Eleven Japan. They are masters of this. Instead of trying to be everything to everybody, they found this one core insight. Their customers crave novelty. They get bored easily. And that became their pivot point. So they built their entire system around this quick response model to constantly deliver new and interesting products. And the result? It's just staggering. 70% of their products turn over every single year.
Now, the other side of the focus coin is concentration. And this is where the really hard choices come in. It means saying no to 100 pretty good ideas so you can pour every single resource, every dollar, every person, every hour of the day into that one objective that can change the entire game.
Harold Williams at the Getty Museum, he understood this perfectly. Think about it. With their huge endowment, they could have just become another big museum, buying up famous paintings. But instead, Williams concentrated all that power, all that money, on one pivotal goal, becoming the undisputed world leader in art conservation. They didn't just join the art world, they completely transformed it.
Okay, so this is all great in theory, right? But how do you actually do this? How can you start finding these leverage points in your own work, in your business, maybe even in your career?
Okay, first up, anticipation. You've got to think like Pierre Wack. What's the predictable storm that's forming way out on your horizon? Is it a demographic shift, a new technology, a regulatory change that's already in motion, but that will totally reshape your world in a few years? What is it that others are ignoring?
Next, let's think about focus. Take a look at your biggest challenge right now. Instead of trying to attack it from all sides at once, really search for that pivot point. What's the one bottleneck, the one customer desire, the one weak link in the chain that, if you just fixed it, would unlock everything else?
And finally, concentration. And yeah, this is the hard part. This one forces you to ask, what are we willing to stop doing? Where can we gather up all our scattered forces and concentrate them on that single objective that will truly multiply our impact instead of just adding to it?
In the end, it really all comes down to this single question. Strategy isn't about having more resources than the other guy. It's about finding that one precise spot where your unique insight and your focused effort can create extraordinary, multiplied results. So the only question left to ask is, where will you place your lever?